In October 1977, an unexpected twist in a complex web of fraud and crime rocked the U.S. justice system. On that fateful day, Roy Everett Smith, a white man born in 1925, turned himself in to the U.S. Marshal's office in Miami, Florida. With a hefty $10,000 bail, Smith's journey into the legal system began, marking just the start of a fascinating story entangled with fraud, international intrigue, and famous figures. Just days later, another individual, Gabriel Robert Caggiano, appeared before a magistrate in Boston, Massachusetts. Caggiano, too, faced the looming threat of removal to another state, a fate he tried to avoid by waiving removal proceedings. His case, while seemingly separate, would soon intertwine with others in a vast conspiracy. At the heart of this unfolding story were investigations into sophisticated financial fraud orchestrated by a group self-styled the Fraternity. This loose network of con men, led by the cunning Philip Carl Kitzer Jr., had set their sights on creating multiple offshore banks to launder millions in fraudulent funds. By the mid-1970s, their operations spanned 3 continents, with banks in the West Indies, Illinois, and England. Kitzer and his associates, operating under the guise of legitimacy, sold letters of credit and other financial instruments through these offshore banks. Their audacity was matched only by their greed, amassing an estimated $250 million through their deceit. But as law enforcement closed in, they knew they had to act fast. As authorities began to piece together the puzzle of the fraternity's crimes, they turned their attention to key figures and locations connected to their fraudulent schemes. One such figure was Frederick N.P. Pro, whose fingerprints were sent to the FBI lab for examination. The FBI's analysis, however, yielded inconclusive results. While they could not definitively link Pro to the crimes, they knew his involvement was crucial to unraveling the larger conspiracy. Meanwhile, another piece of the puzzle lay hidden among the vast records seized from Bannon International in Boston. This establishment, linked to one of the fraternity's fronts, held a trove of information that would prove vital in the ongoing investigation. As agents sifted through the seized documents, they couldn't help but think of Elvis Presley, whose life and death had mysterious connections to this world of crime. Elvis, the king of rock and roll, had died in 1977, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery and speculation. Among the many unanswered questions about his life was the fate of a 1955 Chevrolet Corvette, a car he had purchased new and later sold at an auction. The car, equipped with features that didn't match its 1955 model year, had been resold for a staggering $34,000. The original buyer from Olween, Iowa, even raised concerns about potential interstate fraud, questioning whether the car truly had the specified radio and transmission. As the investigation into the fraternity and its members continued, connections began to emerge between the fraudsters and the world of Elvis Presley. While the jet lapse case involving Frederick Pro remained unresolved, with key evidence blacked out in the FBI files, one thing was clear. The intersection of crime, celebrity, and financial deceit had created a complex web of intrigue that would continue to fascinate and confound for years to come. The story of Roy Smith, Gabriel Caggiano, and the fraternity serves as a stark reminder of the lengths to which individuals will go to escape justice. As the investigation unfolded, it became apparent that unearthing the truth would require piecing together fragments of information from across the globe, navigating a labyrinth of lies and deceit. And at the center of it all was the quest to understand the true extent of the fraternity's reach, and whether justice could finally be served for the king himself, Elvis Presley. In the late 1980s, a mysterious case involving a legendary car caught the attention of the FBI. The car in question was a 1955 Chevrolet Corvette convertible, a vehicle that many fans dream of owning. However, this particular Corvette sparked controversy when it was sold at an auction in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in 1979. The seller claimed it was once owned by none other than Elvis Presley, but was this really the case? The story took a turn when the new owner from Olween, Iowa, started receiving attention for his purchase. An article in a car enthusiast magazine suggested the car was a fraud. Why? Because the Corvette supposedly had features like a 3-speed manual transmission and a specific radio model that did not exist in 1955 when Presley allegedly bought it. This raised big questions. Could this car really have belonged to Elvis? To dig deeper, the FBI launched a major investigation. They looked into records from the dealership in New York where Presley supposedly bought the car, as well as documents from the New Jersey auction. They even reached out to the New Jersey Motor Vehicles Department, the FBI offices in Iowa and Omaha, and even the Attorney General's office in Iowa. They wanted to know everything about this car and its past owners. One key piece of evidence was the bill of sale, a document that supposedly proved the car's ownership history. It claimed Elvis Presley bought the car in Memphis in 1955, but could this document be trusted? The FBI asked experts to examine the paper and the type of ink used. They wanted to know if these items were made before 1955, which would cast doubt on the authenticity of the bill of sale. The FBI also looked into a man from Westchester, Pennsylvania, who bought the car at the auction. He claimed he bought it based on the Elvis Presley bill of sale that came with it. He kept the car for a year, displaying it at a car show without charging for it. During this time, he had no contact with Presley or anyone who might have information about the car's true history. Another piece of the puzzle came from an interview with someone who attended the auction. This person confirmed buying the car, saying it did come with a bill of sale signed by Presley. However, he didn't remember details about the car's radio, which further complicated things. The investigation also uncovered correspondence between law enforcement agencies. The FBI shared their findings with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Iowa, highlighting concerns about potential interstate fraud. They believed the sellers knew the car was a fraud when they sold it to the buyer from Iowa. To further examine the car's authenticity, the FBI asked a laboratory to analyze the documents. They wanted to know if the ink and paper could date back to 1955 or if they were more recent. This kind of forensic analysis is crucial in cases like this, where the authenticity of a document can change everything. Throughout this investigation, one thing became clear: proving the car's connection to Elvis Presley was incredibly difficult. The lack of solid evidence, combined with inconsistencies in the car's features and the story behind its sale, made it hard to believe it was truly Presley's. This case highlights how even the most seemingly straightforward possessions can become embroiled in controversy and investigation. The allure of owning a piece of celebrity history can lead people to make claims that aren't always backed by facts. In the end, the truth about Elvis Presley's 1955 Corvette remains shrouded in doubt, a reminder of how difficult it can be to separate fact from fiction, especially when legends are involved. After returning to Olween, Iowa, with a car that he believed was once owned by Elvis Presley, the seller faced a surprising wave of letters. These letters came from Corvette enthusiasts across the country. They informed him that the car did not come with some special features he thought it did, like a certain type of radio and a specific transmission. These features were not available in January 1955, when the car was supposedly owned by Elvis. To understand what happened, let's break down the situation. A man from New Jersey sold the car, claiming it was once owned by Elvis. However, he didn't provide any proof or documents to back up this claim. He just had a bill of sale that said the car was sold to Elvis, but this was all very vague. To get to the bottom of things, investigators started asking around. They talked to people who said they had bought the car or knew who did. One person said he got the car from a dealer in New Jersey and spent a lot of his own money on it. He didn't change anything in the car, but he did get a bill of sale that claimed Elvis owned it. However, he wasn't sure if Elvis really had it. Another person said he bought the car for $4,000 and added lots of money to it before selling it. He got a bill of sale claiming Elvis owned it, but he also didn't fully trust it. He sold it to someone in Iowa, who later sold it to another person. Each time, the claim about Elvis owning the car was repeated, but there was no solid proof. The FBI got involved to check if there was any fraud. They looked at the car's history and talked to experts. They found out that the parts mentioned in the bill of sale could have been added to Corvettes in 1955, so it wasn't unusual. They checked Elvis's car records in Tennessee and found out he never owned a Corvette. Even Elvis's cousin and someone working for his estate said he never had one. The FBI also talked to the insurance company that handled Elvis's cars. They confirmed he never insured a Corvette. All these findings made it clear that the story about Elvis owning the car was likely not true. In the end, the FBI concluded that there wasn't enough evidence to say the car was fraudulently sold to the buyer based on the claims of Elvis owning it. They explained that the car's features could have been added later, and there were no records of Elvis ever having a Corvette. This case shows how easy it is to spread false information, especially about famous people. It's like when someone makes up a story about a celebrity, and before you know it, everyone believes it. In this case, the false claim about Elvis and the Corvette caused a lot of trouble and stress for everyone involved. The cost of fame is high. Celebrities often face threats, extortion attempts, and false accusations just because of their status. It's a price they pay for being in the public eye. For Elvis, it meant dealing with false claims about his possessions, which took a toll on him and those around him. In the end, the investigation into the Corvette was closed, but it serves as a reminder of how easily things can go wrong when fame is involved. It's important to always check facts and not believe everything we hear, especially when it comes to people we look up to.